Tunes. In this video, we are going to expand on some of the critical topics that we sort of glossed over the past couple of videos. Key terms that we need to have concrete definitions for, such as optimization and other new terms that we didn't officially define, such as independence and mutual exclusivity. So that's the point of this video. It should be quicker than the level 2 video. I know that was how to defeat level 2 cog. That's a complicated task, and so it took much longer. But just a quick lesson before we get into gameplay, maybe some discussion. A good working definition for optimization is the maximization of efficiency of any task, of the task that you are working on, not a toon task. It would apply to a toon task, but it also applies to gag trading. It applies to picking the best food to eat. It applies to everything in life. You should optimize for something. And people may say that, well, that's bad because I don't want to live my life optimizing for every little thing. That's going to create a lot of stress. Well, great. Then optimize for lower stress. And we noticed that in Towntown, there are some key things that we're going to want to maximize for most often. Doing things quicker, so a time aspect of it, a temporal aspect, maximizing for gag experience, training our gags, or maximizing for the probability, and this would be a maximization or minimization. You can see that maximization actually can just refer to sort of either its polarization, either end. We use minimization, if I suppose, as a more technical term, I guess, for trying to decrease something. But also you can maximize the probability that you do not go green or you do not die or go sad in this game. And so here are two important events. Here are two important things that both have mathematical definitions, but also kind of linguistic pragmatics to them, meaning that you will be able to also use these terms in a non-mathematical way to convey important information. The word independent and the word mutually exclusive. So two events are independent if the occurrence of one does not affect the probability of the other. And this is the mathematical way to write out the definition for independence. It's the probability of A and B. This is the and sign of probability. It's equal to the probability of A times the probability of B. So there are two things that look very close to each other. There is this and sign, and then there is the or sign, which is the opposite of the and. So this would be A or B, but this is A and B. So there may be confusion down the line, but because we have not dealt with the definition of the or yet, we are not going to worry too much about the difference between them, as I have a trick to kind of remember which one's the and sign and which one is the or sign. But I'll save that nugget for later. So if the probability of A and B is equal to the probability of A times the probability of B, then the events are independent. A key example of this would be the probability of a throw hitting on turn 1 and turn 2. So the probability the throw hits on turn 1 and turn 2 is going to be 0.7 or whatever the gag accuracy is, but it's going to be 0.7 times 0.7. The probability that it hits in the first turn is not affected by the probability it hits in the second turn, but the probability that it hits in the second turn is not dependent on whether or not the throw hit in the first turn. They're independent events. They occur separately. Mutually exclusive means that they cannot occur at the same time. So the probability that you use a throw and a squirt at the same time, with the probability that if we look back here, the probability that the telemarketer uses both a pickpocket and a clip-on tie at the same time is 0, because the probability that he uses a clip-on tie is going to be 15%, or it's going to be 15%. The probability that he uses pickpocket is going to be 15%, but that doesn't mean that the probability that they use them both is 0.15 times 0.15. They're mutually exclusive. He either does one or the other. So these are the mathematical definitions which we may use in the future, but the more linguistic application for them, or the way that we use it in language, can be to say, these are the three things that we're optimizing for. We do not have to pick and choose. These are not mutually exclusive in another way. To maximize for time does not mean you can't maximize for gag experience. To maximize for gag experience does not mean you can't maximize for the ability not to go green. So we may have a focus on one or the other. We may say I want to maximize for how quickly I do this toon task. Or you may go to ability and say I'm going to maximize for training my gags. Or you can say I really want to make sure I successfully complete this building. I want to minimize the chance that I go green. But that doesn't mean that you can't also have the other things in mind. You may have an emphasis on one or the other, but that doesn't mean that you can't do both at the same time. But I think that in general, these are the three things that we're going to be optimizing for most often. The way to maximize for time is, of course, to play optimally, to conserve our powerful gags, and to limit damage done to our toon. Now, these things don't always go hand in hand, but if they do, then that's a good thing. If we can both conserve gags and limit damage done to our toon, then we should, of course, do that, conserve our powerful gags. And the reason why we want to do this, even when we are, say, defeating 4 cogs in Towntown Central, is that means we have to go to the gag shop left off. That means we have to go back to the playground to restock our gags less often, or to restock our health less often, which means it's going to take a few amount of time to complete the task. Now the next thing is we want to maximize gag experience. We should be playing in invasions where we get twice as much experience points as possible. It's going to make our gag experience go literally twice as quickly. And then notice that the principle of avoiding going green is linked to time, because when you go green, not only do you get no credit for whatever task you were doing as you're going green, but you also don't have to restock your gags, restock your laugh, and then try again. That's going to be a huge burden on time. So notice that these are the three things we want to optimize for, but they're actually very intertwined. 3 and 1 are inextricably linked. Okay, that's kind of the lesson, just a little bit of rambling. Let's just go on and defeat these cogs, and we want to make sure we are in an invasion. Short change invasion is perfect. So we kind of have the tools to kill level 1 cogs and level 2 cogs right now. So we want to go ahead and we want to defeat as many level 1 and level 2 cogs as possible. We have not gone through this new gag we have being the drinking glass. And so we may not know exactly the most optimal way to kill level 1 cog and level 2 cog with this in mind. There's seriously no cogs on the street. Okay, so that's a level 3 short change. We haven't gone over teamwork yet, so we're not going to do teamwork, but we're just going to kill this level 1 cog. So keeping these multiple objectives in mind, we are going to want to maximize for time, but also maximize for gag training. And we also want to conserve our powerful gags. We're facing a level 1 cog. We know the best way to defeat a level 1 cog is going to be 2 squirting flowers. So we are going to do that. We could have also used 1 drinking glass to defeat this level 1 cog. However, we want to both save our drinking glasses if we need them later, and we also want to get the gag experience points. And so we are going to be using the more basic strategy to kill the level 1 cog, being to use a squirting flower. We have not learned how to defeat level 3 cog yet, so we're just going to move right beyond the level 3 cog, and we are going to tackle this level 1 cog here. Perfect, the level 3 cog went away. And again, we're going to use 2 squirting flowers. Now, you notice that squirt early on here is the more useful gag. There may be an argument to say, well, why don't we use more cupcakes, therefore we can get the fruit pie slice, and therefore we are going to have a more powerful arsenal that we can take on high level cogs more easily. And that is a great point, and I think that if we are maximizing in its entirety for getting through this game as quickly as possible, that certainly may be a very good idea. I don't want to kill that level 2 cog just yet because I want to finish this point. But I think that my approach to this game is just to view each event in a vacuum as independent of one another and do the optimal thing every step of the way, which is actually not the most optimal way to play the game in its entirety. And so you can apply that to your own thinking, which is to say that you may actually have an argument that I should have been using 2 cupcakes to kill these cogs, even though it's less optimal to kill level 1 cog, because it would give you the ability to have fruit pie slice, and that will make the game easier down the line, and then it's going to be less tricky. That is a very valid point, and I think that you're thinking optimally, and that's a proper way to make an argument. Because I'm thinking about this I'm thinking about each event in a vacuum as an independent event, which is not the holistically most optimal way to play the game. But nevertheless, just so that point is not bottom of the comment section, know that is very valid, but I am just playing this game to be optimal in a vacuum for the moment. I may also speak about optimization in a more grand way. So now we have Thrilling Throw. This should not change things too much. We have to defeat. We have to do 12 damage upon this cog. We have 6, so we have to hit this cog twice with the throw or squirt. We know that this is going to have higher accuracy than this, so it's a pretty easy decision. We're going to use 2 drinking glasses to take care of this level 2 cog. Notice that we were able to do this entire task, defeat 4 cogs without going back to the playground, without going back to the playground for laugh, without going to the playground for gags, and we were able to do it optimally every step of the way. And unfortunately, our squirt missed there, but we're going to be pretty confident that this squirt's not going to miss. Not because there is a fallacy of, well, the last one missed, so this one's more likely to hit. We just know that squirt has a very high accuracy, and so it's very unlikely to miss. And we got unlucky that it even missed once. But we can now dance. We got a lot of experience points because we did this in Invasion. We killed 4 cogs, and perhaps this video was a little bit less formal than the other ones, a short lesson, but more about application and just chit-chatting a little bit. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.